Hello friends, welcome back to Smart Coder. We are back with a video, and today video we will learn how we can make the chat application in our Flutter and by using the Node.js API. So this application will going to have a feature like real-time messaging with the help of the Socket.io. Then we have the cross-platform with the Android, iOS and the web, and we have the message status tracking of send, deliver or read. And then we have the feature of the typing indicator, which will show when the user is typing. Also we have the feature for the online status. With the help of that we can track the user online or offline status with last seen timestamp, and whole this application will be on the basis of the event based architecture and all. So this is our application, and here we have the option for the register and the login. And when we click on the register, we have the option for name, email ID, password. Then we have the option for the register now, and if the user already logged in, we will click on the login, and from here we will just log into the device. We will log in here, snippet coder, password 123, password 123, and we click on the login here. You can see here when we logged in here, there we are going to have the all the usernames here, and then here we have the chat room. But whenever we chat with anyone, that will display here. And in the same way we'll log into the different device also. Here we are going to log in with Rajat, password 123. We click login here. So now here you will see here the direct message will show the username which are registered in our system, and here it will not show the logged in user. Same here. And now if I going to click on the snippet code in the device 2, which is login here, it will show here login because the application is running here. So now if I send a message here, if I put here test1 and if I press here send, you can see here the message came here immediately. It will also show the message count here. In the same way, if I send another message like second message, and if I click on the send here, you can see here the count will be come to the 2, and it will display here the last message which came here. And you can see here it is showing the double tick here. That means the message deliver here, but it is not showing the blue tick because the message not yet read. So now if I click here, if I go to that user chat room, you will see here the status has been changed here to blue tick. So in the same way, if I type here something, so you can see here in the top Rajesh is typing. So that means it will also show the typing indicator also. So when we stop typing, it will not show anything. When we restart typing, you can see here it is again showing here. When we stop typing, it will not show. So in the same way, if I press here send, you will see here message coming here with the timestamp also, and immediately it is converted to the read status because the message read here. So in the same way, if I send message from here test, and here it is also showing the snippet code is typing here. So now if I press enter here, you can see immediately message coming here. And the same way, if I go back and if I type any message new and if press enter, you will see here message also came here, the new message from the Rajat. We have the option for open here. So before starting a video, if you are new to our channel, subscribe our channel by clicking the subscribe button and click the bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. So first of all, we have to create a backend for our application, and for that we are going to use the Node.js. And we open the terminal here and we initialize the project here, npm initialize. It will create the Node.js project here. It will ask for the package name, and here we will press yes. So now here you can see in the package.json file is created here. So now we are going to use some of the packages, and we will put here those packages. So we are going to use first package is the bcrypt.js that will be used for encrypting our password. Then we are going to use the body parser for our API. Then we are going to use the course. Then we are going to use the dot environment that will be used for the environment file and all. Then we are going to use the express server for starting our server. Then we are also using the JSON web token. That token will be used for communicating with the authentication barrier token with our chat application. Then also we are going to use the Mongoose. We are going to use the MongoDB, and also we are going to use the Socket.io. And here we have to put one entry that will be type. We are going to use the module because we are going to use the TypeScript way EC5. So for that purpose, we have to put here type module. So now first of all, we have to create the environment file. We will put here env And here we are going to use three variables. First one is the port number. We are going to use the API on the port number 3000. Then we have to put here the MongoDB UI. Then we are going to use the JWT secret key. We can put here any secret key that will be used for encrypting our token and all. So after that, we have to create one folder here. We will name it as a config. And inside that, we will create one file that will be db.script, and that will be used for our DB connection and all. Here we will first import mongoose, and before that we have to just install our packages. We will put here npm install. It will install all the package here. You can see here node_modules. Those packages has been added here. So now we will do here import mongoose from mongoose. Also we will import here our environment file for accessing our MongoDB path. We will put here import .environment/config. Here we will write the method that will be used for connecting a DB. We will put here export constant connect DB is equal to async. Inside that we will put here try catch. Here we have the error, and inside the try we will put here await mongoose dot, and we will pick the path here that will come from the process dot environment, and we will pick the name from here. Name is MongoDB_URI. We will put here. After that, we will make these variable use new URL parser true, use unified topology, and after that we will write here console.log, and we'll put here MongoDB connected, and the error we will put here console.log error.message. If there will be any error, we will put here process exit. Now we will create our server file also. We'll put here server.js, and inside the package.json we can change it to server. Here first of all we will import here express from express. Then we have to import here create server from http. Then we have to import our connect db that will be come from our config.db file. And here first of all we will connect our db here. We will put here connect db. After that we will create the object for constant app is equal to express for starting our express server. Now we can set our parsing and all. We will put here app.use express.json. If we not put this line, then our JSON API will not work. And this create server we will do later on when we do our integration with our socket.io and all. And here we will just start our server for testing. We'll put here app.listen process.environment. We can see the name here. It is port in the uppercase. And if this not found, we will pick the default port that will be 3000. Then here we have the function, and here we will write console.log server started. So now let's just run the application and see our database getting connected or not. We will put here node.js. So here we are getting some error here, and here we have to put the db.js file. Now you can see server started, and here it is coming MongoDB connected. That means our MongoDB is getting connected. So now let's move further and we will create our APIs. And first of all we will create with our authentication API, and then later on we will move to our chat API. And here we have to create the folder that will be models. Inside that we will create one new file that will be user.js file. And here first of all we have to import here mongoose from mongoose. Then we have our import bcrypt from js. So here we have to create the schema, and we will write here constant user schema is equal to new mongoose dot schema. And inside that we are going to have only three fields. First one will be our username, and type we are going to make it as a, and we will make it as a required field here, and we will make it as a unique also. Then we have our password field. Type will be string or required. Then we have our another field that will be last seen. That will be used to store the last seen of the user. So suppose if you are online, it will save your last time when you are online. Then on the basis of that it will display to the other user. And the type will be date, and default it will be date.now. So here we have to put the pre method for before saving, so that whenever any save command will be execute, then before saving it will do some of the logic handling and all, business logic and all. And here we are going to put a user schema dot pre save, and we will put here async function next. Inside that we will check here this dot is modified password. Then what we will do, we will just encrypt our password here. We'll put here this dot password is equal to await bcrypt hash this dot password, and we will put some random number for generating the hash for our password. We will put here 12, and after that we will put here next, so that after doing this one it will move to the next command. Then here we will also make one method that will be password for checking if the password is correct or not. We put here user schema dot methods dot correct password is equal to async function, and here we will put candidate password. These will be the variable names, user password. It will just compare it and return us if the password is correct or not. It will be, this method will be used like when we put the password in the login, and then it will check from our database, and by checking the password is correct or not, it will return to us. I will write here return await bcrypt compare candidate password and the password that will be come from the database. So instead of doing all this business logic in the controller, we can also handle here in the schema itself also. And then we will export here, export default mongoose dot model user schema. So what we did here is we have created a schema, user schema with the username, password, last seen. Then we created the method, pre-method before saving, and that will be used to encrypt our password. And then we created the method for checking if the password is correct or not, and then we export from here. So now we will create one folder for the services. We will put here services. Inside that we will create here auth service.js, and here we are going to create two functions. One is for the registration and the second one is for the login. And first of all we have to import here our model file user from /model/user.js. Then we have to import here mongoose from mongoose. Now here we will write export constant register is equal to async function, and we have to pass here username, password, and first we will check here if the password dot length is less than 8. We will return the error message here, error password must be at least 8 characters. Then here we will put here try, and here we have the catch, here we have the error. In the try we will write a constant user is equal to await user create, and we will just pass the username and password. So you have to make sure these name will be same as your model file. Like here you can see username and password. So here we are doing, so here we have to change it to lowercase. So now both are same, and after that we will return here user ID user dot underscore ID. So it will return us the user ID. In the catch we can check here if we are getting the error code is equal to 11,000. So that will be our duplicate error. That means the username already exists. And from here we will just return here error username already taken. And in journal we will just return here error failed to register. So what we did here, we have just created one function that will be register, and there we are passing username password, and then we are checking here if the password length is less than 8, then we will give the error message password must be at least 8 characters. Then in the try catch we are just calling user.create by passing the variable name, and then we are returning here the user ID, that database ID which is created. And the catch we are just checking here if the error code is 11,000, that means the username already taken, and by default we are just returning a failed to register. So now we will create another method. We can just copy this one also and we will paste here. We will change it to login. We can remove this validation from here And what we will do, we will just change it to here. We will change it to user.find1, and we will just pass the username here. Then we will check here if not of user, that means user not found. Then here we will just throw new error user not found. After that we will check here is match. You have to check the whatever the password user is sending and whatever the password which is stored in the database are matching both or not. And for that we will just use here await user dot. We have to use this variable user dot, and we have to pick this method which we have created here, correct password dot correct password, and we have to pass here password, whatever the password we are passing to user. And here we have to put user dot password from the database. And here we will check if not of match. If not of is match, then we will return here throw new error invalid password, and in the by default we will return here token JWT sign, and we have to pass a user ID. This user ID we will put inside our token, and we can pick our secret key from our process.environment.jwt secret. And here also we have to import JWT from JSON web token, and here we can put the expiry date for the token also. We will write here expired in, and we can put here 10 days. Along with token we are just passing the user ID also. And here we don't need this checking, we will just remove here. And here we will just do the console.log. We will log the error message, and from here we will just return null. So what we did here, we have created a function that is login, and that there we are just checking the user is exist or not in our database by passing the username. And then we are checking if not found, then we will throw the error that is user not found. After that we are just checking the password is correct or not by using the correct password method which we have created in the schema by passing our password and the user password. Then we are just checking if that match or not. If it not match, then we will return here error message with the invalid password. Else we are just returning here token and the user ID here. So now let's move further, and we will create our controller file. Here we will create our controller folder. We will write a controller. Inside that we will create here user controller.js file, and from here we have to import our methods from our API service, from our service file register and login.js. And here we have export constant register user is equal to async request response. Here we have to pick the variables from our body. We have username password is equal to request.body. We have to pick these variable from the request body. Then we have to write a try catch try, then we have the catch here error, and here in the try we will put a constant user is equal to await register. We have to pass a username password. From here we will return response.status 201.json, and we will pass the response, whatever the response we are getting from the service. Catch we will return here return response.status 500.json. Message we have error registering user. Then we have to do the same for the login also. We will copy this one, we will paste here, and here we will change it to login. Here both the field will be same. We will change the method here login, and in the response we will check if not of response. We will return here status 401 and JSON. We will pass the message here login, and by default we will just return here status 200. JSON we will return here this response, and here in the error we will return here login error. So what we did here, we have created the function with the login user, and there we have the variable username password from the request body. Then we have the try catch. Inside that we have the response coming from the function login, and there we are passing username and password. Then we are just checking here if response is not valid, not true, then we will return here 401, else we will return here 200 response, whatever the response we are getting. In the error, we are just returning here 500 status code with message login error. So now we have to create the routes folder. We will put here routes. Inside that we have to create one file that will be user routes.js file. Now here first of all we have to import here express from express. Then we have to import here register user login user. That will be come from our user controller. So now we have to create the variable object for our router is equal to express dot router. Now here we have to create the router with the route. First one we have the post request. There we have the /register and we will map with our register user API. That then we have to put here login. That will be mapped with our login user method. And from here we will just export here default router. So what we are doing here, we are just creating the router path and all. We are creating the variable for the router by initializing our express.router. Then we are just making two post requests. First one is for the register, then the login, and then we are exporting the router here. So now we have to map this router in our server file, and here we will just put here app.use/API/users. We will map it with our user routes, and this route we have to import here, import user routes from /routes/user routes. So now let's see the server log. We are getting some error here, new mongoose.schema. So now let's see. So here we have to put the caps. Now we are getting here error message for invalid schema configuration. Here it is typo mistake. We will put a type. Now you can see here server started, MongoDB connected. So now let's test this API in our Postman also. So here we have two APIs. First one is the register user and the login user. First of all, we will register here and we will see is it working or not. We will change the username to test user and password will be password123. And before doing that, we will reduce our length here and we will see the validations coming or not. We will press the send here. You can see password must be at least 8 characters. That means our API is connecting perfectly fine and we are also getting the validation. So now we can also check with the existing user also. We have already this user snippet coder and we will press the send here. Before that we will get the password error first and we will change it to password123. Now we will press the send again. You can see username already taken. So now we will change the user to test user and we will press here send. You can see we are getting a user ID, this one. That means our API is working fine and the new user is already created here. So now we can test the same in our login API also. We will just put the username here which we have created, test user. First we will change the password to different and see we are getting invalid user name or not. Now we will see we are getting failed user or not. You can see login failed because we put the invalid password here. We'll just put here 3 and we will press the send here. Again we are getting the error here. So now let's see here it is saying password is not defined. So now let's go to the service. We have this authentication service. So in the user model you can see the issue, like here we are having the variable name as a user password, but here we are passing password. So we will change it to this user password and we will save here. So again we will go to the Postman. Now we will click again on the send. Now you can see we are getting the token here and the user ID which we have returned from our API. So that means our both the API register and login API both are working. So now let's